Are you living life or are you just existing with no goals or plans? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Frank Talks Money. Real quick guys, I just need one favor. Remember to smash that like button. The more likes the video receives, the more the algorithm will share the video with more like-minded people like you and me. Now let's get right into the content. Guys, I got a question. Are you living life right now? Or are you just existing in this life with no real goals, plans, or ambitions to speak of? Guys, I am 52 years old. I want to have this quick talk. I'm 52 years old. Imagine being 50 to 60 years old right now today. And when you look around, you can't see anything that you've accomplished. You're still working a crappy job. You still living paycheck to paycheck. You are essentially broke, have no savings, no emergency fund. Your credit is still bad. The only thing you really own is probably the clothes in your closet. That's it. You're still renting an apartment. And guys, there's nothing wrong with renting. I'm just trying to make a point. Nothing wrong with renting. But you have nothing. You don't own a home. You've basically accomplished nothing. Because you could be renting and have investments up the wahoo, and be growing wealth renting. So there's nothing wrong with the renting. I'm just making a point. But if you're renting and you have nothing else to speak of, then you're not doing that great. But just imagine being my age, 52 years old, and then look around and you have not accomplished anything of any significance. So basically, you have just existed in this life. You haven't lived. You have basically existed. And I don't even know if you can get to this age and change that. You may be able to, but I'm not sure you can, because you have really going to have to make some major life changes, because you're about to hit retirement age. Like, I'm 52, but I'm probably going to never retire because I love making money. I like being on the move. So I'll probably never retire. And they always say wealthy people never retire because we're always doing something to try to make money, whether we get off into real estate or trying to start a business or what have you, or me being on YouTube. I'll never fully retire because I like being active and I love making money. Guys, if you're still here, hit the like button for me, please. Guys, if you're still here, hit that like button for me, please. So, guys, when I die, I'm going to use myself as an example. I was born in 1972. And my headstone is going to say, here lies Frank Davis. Born 1972. It's going to have that dash. It's going to have that dash in there till whatever year I passed away. What is your dash going to signify about your life? What is your dash going to say about you? Well, I'm going to tell you what I want my dash to say about me. I want my dash to say that I left a legacy. Guys, you know why I'm so laser focused on my wealth building? It's because I hated being broke. I hated it. I hated it as a child, and I hated it as a young adult. I hated being broke. I hated struggling. And once I got introduced to investing and I knew that could be my way out, I was off to the races. I was off to the races. I hated being broke. I hated being a young child and having to go to the Salvation Army for my mother to buy me clothes. I hated having to go to the food pantry and get food, the thick ass government cheese, because you never could cut it right, and the cheese would always be thick as shit. I hated having to go and eat that cheap ass cereal that was in a bag and you poured the milk in there and it was all float to the top of the bowl. I hated that. I hated having to eat cereal at night because there was no food in the refrigerator. I hated having to eat bologna sandwiches because there was no food in the house. I hated going to school and having to get free lunch. We all already knew the free lunch people was the ones whose parents didn't have much money. Let's just be honest. But I hated it. I hated my parents not having any damn money. I hated being broke. I hated it with a passion. And I always told myself when I was younger, I was going to do something special with my life. I always knew it. Because growing up, I was always different than the rest of my family. Always thought different. Always walked by the beat of my own drum. And it's kind of funny because when I was younger, I was kind of like a follower. But as I got older, young adult, I definitely became a leader. Definitely became a leader. Especially as I got into my career in management, things of that nature, I definitely became a leader. But I was somewhat of a follower when I was younger. But as I grew up, I started walking by the beat of my own drum. I started doing things differently from the rest of my family members, the rest of my friends. I was basically a lone ranger. I didn't run in large crowds. I did my own thing because I always felt that I was different than everybody else. I always felt that I was different. And I used to always tell my mother when I was younger, Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to be a millionaire. I am going to have a lot of money. I'm going to make a difference in my life and in your life. I used to always tell my mom, you'll never have to worry about anything because I'm going to always have your back. And even till this day, and even though I'm not a millionaire yet, I always look out for my mom. My mom can call me right now and say, son, I need $5,000 because she's in a bind. And she will have it tomorrow. Because I've always wanted to put myself in a position to where if my kids needed me or if my mother needed me, my dad passed away 17 years ago. But I always wanted to be in a position that if my mom needed me or my kids needed me, they could count on me. See, I didn't have that luxury when I was growing up. I didn't have that luxury. You know, the person I had to count on was me. Either I had it or I didn't have it. So I always just had that fire in my belly to be successful. I've always had that fire. I've always wanted more out of my life. I never, ever was okay with the status quo. I always wanted more. And I knew I was going to have to work for it. I knew I was going to have to work for it. But I knew I always wanted more. And when I was introduced to investing, I knew that was my way out. I was like, okay, this is my way to millionaire status. Because what those people did that got to my age and just existed, all they had to do was just take a few moments, just take a little time to just learn money management. That's all they had to do. But then they get to my age and they look back and realize they haven't accomplished anything of any significance their entire damn life. Me personally, I would feel like a failure. That's just me. I would personally feel like a failure if I was 52 years old, still working a crappy job, still living paycheck to paycheck, no savings, no investments, broke, not owning anything of significance. I would feel like a complete failure. That's just me. Because my goal is to leave a legacy in my life. My goal is to be able to touch and help people, and it doesn't always have to be financially. I want to be able to just be in a position to help people. Whether it's with some advice, whether it's just me listening to them, which is just for me, just, taking someone somewhere, Like my daughter came home for Christmas. She's having some car issues, right? But I know if her car goes down, I have another car that she can come and get and drive till her car gets fixed. See, a lot of people just not in that type of position to where they can help other people. So I want my dash on my tombstone to reflect how I lived my life and the legacy that I left on other individuals, the mark I left on other individuals, how I made other individuals feel. You know, somebody like in my last video about me getting away from broke people, when I made the comment, one of my cousins said, all I think about is money. And someone commented, yeah, because it's up there with air and oxygen. Because money determines the food you eat. Money determines the house you live in. Money determines the apartment you can rent. Money determines the clothes you can buy. Money determines the car you can drive. Money determines the school system you can send your kids to. Money determines if you can pay your bills. Money determines how you can provide for your children. So yeah, having money is way up there. Money is way up there to needing air and oxygen because it determines everything in your life. And if you don't have it, you are screwed. It's simple as that. Whether we want to admit that or not, if you don't have it, you're screwed. So when people tell me money and everything, I was like, yeah, my response is, yeah, I know why it's not everything to you because you don't have any. In February, I'm about to have my second grandchild. I want to make sure my grandchildren have options when they grow up. I've taught my kids about money. And when my grandkids start school, I'm going to start teaching them. We're going to teach them about money. Because I don't want my grandkids to go to college and they're going to have to work a job that they hate. I don't care if it's paying them a lot of money. But I want them to have options to do what they want to do. Maybe they want to be a real estate investor. Maybe they want to start investing early so they don't have to work. You know, maybe they want to start a business. But I want to be able to be in a position to help them make that decision and be able to back them up. I can't do that if I'm broke. I can't do anything for anybody if I'm broke. So yeah, I want my grandkids to grow up with a little privilege. Because you know why? Because I want them to have a little privilege because their grandfathers sacrificed and built wealth. So they don't have to sacrifice and work some crappy job that they don't want to work. I want to make sure they have choices. And to me, that's just being responsible because it's not all about me. Because I have genes, grandchildren, and my bloodline that's coming up behind me. And I want to make sure they are set up for life. Not for life like I'm going to leave them a lot of money, but I want to help them get set up for life so they can be making the right decisions. I want them to have choices because I hated being broke. I hated that lifestyle. I hated my parents didn't have money when I was growing up. And I was determined not to let that same fate become my life. That's why it amazes me when a lot of people grow up with no money, broke and struggling. I don't understand how that isn't fuel for their fire. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So guys, that's my rant real quick. I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. Just ask you guys, are you living or are you existing in this life? Please like the video, share the video, and most important, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Frank Talks Money. And with that, guys, remember, financial decisions you make today will impact your financial life tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Frank Talks Money. I am out.